Hey Ryan, you always seem to laugh it off when you're selling. I understand now, though. You can't really think of any intelligent conversation with simply a high school dropout's head, can you? It's unavoidable, I suppose, because you dropped out of high school. I apologize, my speech was too complex for you to understand. I apologize. I am unable to reduce it to a dropout level. A customer invited me to a mixer. But as soon as the client found out that I had dropped out of high school, they began to despise me in public. I made the decision to ignore it for the time being in order to avoid causing any trouble. After saying, "Yay, well, that's how it goes," I gulped down my drink. However, the client appeared to be even more irritated by this. "Why are you behaving so arrogantly for a dropout? Are you aware of who is in charge of your employment at all?" Their remarks left me speechless. Is this individual even aware of their own position? How do you treat me, your client? Keep in mind that I can easily ruin your small business. Please provide a pathetic apology for your impudence if it bothers you. Alcohol had empowered them to reveal their actual selves, and the other participants appeared surprised by their conceit. They then leaned in to grasp my head, either in jest or seriously. "Come on, apologize to me pitifully." Will he actually force me to apologize? I was about to brace myself when an astonishing thing happened in front of everyone, and that marked the start of the client's professional decline. Ryan is my name. I work at an advertising agency and am 35 years old. Internet advertising, not TV or newspapers. A web ad agency, you know. Sales is my primary responsibility. I work closely with clients to understand their issues and financial constraints in order to provide the best solutions. Hearing, "Glad we went with Ryan," makes it all worthwhile, even though meeting needs can be difficult. However, this is not where I began. My father died in a vehicle accident while I was a senior in high school. My mother put in a lot of effort to provide for my brother and me when he passed away. Making ends meet was difficult even in those days. Mom looked more and more worn out every day from working many jobs. I also couldn't bear the idea of losing her. I have to save Mom and my brother. So I dropped out of high school to work. Ryan, I'm sorry you have to go through this. It's okay, Mom. I wanted to work early anyway. Just take care of Joe. He loves studying and should go to college. Ryan. Mom hugged me. Her body was thinner and frailer than I thought. I had to save them. Once again, I made a firm commitment to save my mom and little brother. Finding a job as a high school dropout was hard. I finally landed a gig at a small IT firm. Their ad said, "No experience needed. Education not a barrier. We want diverse talent." With no tech skills, becoming an engineer was tough. I almost gave up many times. Even as an IT newbie, far from knowing programming, I decided to first cram all the basic knowledge into my head. I used my days off to study vigorously, sparing no moment for sleep. Using related books and basic IT technician exam guides, I would actively ask my coworkers about things I didn't understand, repeatedly clarifying my doubts. Thanks to such diligent effort and the strict guidance of my coworkers, I was able to grasp the basics of programming. But I learned something even more important. I used to think being an engineer was all about solitary work, glued to a computer, but it was not like that at all. Ryan, how's the progress? Almost done with the code. I'll help you with your part next, boss. Thanks. Please take care of this file. I learned on the job that system development is all about teamwork, and communication is crucial to carrying out projects. Besides technical skills, I actively honed my communication abilities to earn trust from clients and team members, understanding the client's needs and proposing good ideas. When we developed a high-quality system, the whole team celebrated. My team started to outperform others. Continuing to provide quality work, our company's reputation grew, leading to more connections with major corporations. Chatting with executives, I often ended up sharing my background, telling them I'm a high school dropout who struggled to get here. I was surprised how many top executives from big companies understood and empathized, saying, "I feel you," or "It was hard getting here." They appreciated my work, considering the adversities I faced. Thanks to that, I was able to steadily increase dealings with major corporations, earning a great reputation in the company. On a busy yet fulfilling day at work, I was headhunted by another company. After much thought, I decided to switch jobs. I believed it was a place to fully utilize what I had learned. This move became a significant turning point in my life. The new company, also in it, wasn't as big as the previous one yet, but its vibrancy and potential for growth excited me. "Ryan, we're almost at Company A." The voice brought me back to reality. Lost in thought again. I was in a taxi on the way to meet a client, daydreaming. The woman beside me, Emily, smiled amusingly. With her striking looks and tall, slender figure, she could be mistaken for a model by those who don't know her. She's a valuable coworker with extensive knowledge and experience in web advertising, often accompanying me on external visits. Sorry, I was zoning out. Just relieved about the recent deal getting finalized. I shouldn't be slacking even on the job. Time to refocus. It's okay, but it's great that the contract with Company F went through. The boss sounded really happy over the phone. He's glad he trusted you, Ran. No, I still have a long way to go, but I'll continue to do my best to be of help to everyone. We got out of the taxi, arriving at our second client meeting of the day. I sighed inwardly. We had a smooth transaction and a good relationship with Major Company A, but things changed recently with a new contact person. His name is Michael, and I find him somewhat difficult to deal with. Apparently an elite graduate, he often boasts about his education and evaluates others based on their academic credentials, which tends to prolong meetings unnecessarily. Although I wanted to get to the main topic, I knew better than to offend someone so prideful. I decided to just listen and nod along to his story with a smile. Just when the meeting topic was wrapping up, Michael suddenly mentioned, "Hey Ryan, I'm organizing a mixer next week. You should definitely come. It's a group dating event, but we end up talking business most of the time. There will be folks from big corporations too, so there'll be a great networking event." I was invited, but honestly, I didn't want to interact with Michael outside of work. "Oh, and you should come too, Emily. I've been wanting to have a good chat with you at this opportunity," Michael said, grinning at Emily. It was unclear if he was trying to hide or not, but his tone and gaze made his ulterior motives towards Emily quite obvious. Michael's fondness for mixers was well known, regularly hosting them and hitting on any woman he fancied. Thinking I couldn't let Emily attend such a gathering, I politely declined. "No thanks, we're good." However, Michael replied with a look of disbelief. "Ryan, you really don't get it, do you? These social drinking events are where you build good relationships for future business. Understand? You'll miss out on great contract opportunities like this." He had a point, but I still wasn't keen on it. Surprisingly, Emily said, "I'll go if I'm with Ryan, then." I was shocked, while Michael looked pleased. "Great. Emily gets it. So Ryan, you're in too. Looking forward to it." And like that, Emily and I were somewhat coerced into attending Michael's group gathering. In the taxi back, I checked with Emily to make sure she wasn't feeling pressured. "You can still back out if you want. It's okay. Like Michael said, you never know where a business opportunity might be. It's a bit daunting to go alone, but I think I'll be fine if you're there with me," Emily replied, smiling at me. Yeah," I managed, feeling a sudden jolt and quickly looking away. On the day of the group dating event, we arrived at a fancy restaurant Michael had chosen. It was a stylish and serene place, and we were led to a private room where Michael and a few men and women were already seated. The women were all stunning, and the men were wearing expensive suits. It seemed like the guests were indeed from top-tier companies. Michael quickly became the center of attention. I know the owner of this restaurant. He's also a grad from my alma mater, so we have great conversations, he boasted. The women laughed in agreement. Certainly, it's easier when there's no educational gap. The men seemed to think agreeing with Michael was the right move. Complimenting him pleased Michael, and he boasted even more. Every time I mentioned my university at meetings, there are high expectations. But being as outstanding as I am, I always exceed them. Emily and I exchanged glances, thinking, here we go again. Just another session of Michael's bragging. We decided to enjoy our meals and have a casual chat instead. Seemingly annoyed by our disinterest, Michael suddenly asked me, by the way, Ryan, which college did you graduate from? I answered honestly, not hiding anything. I didn't go to college. High school graduate? No. Due to some circumstances, I dropped out of high school and started working. Then I'd moved to my current company. There was a moment of silence. Then Michael burst out laughing. You're joking, right? Ryan is a high school dropout. Lower educated than anyone here. In this day and age. A dropout, that's like a living fossil. That's funny. His attitude towards me visibly changed, looking down on me. The other participants were whispering and chuckling uncomfortably. I can't believe our business partner employs a high school dropout. This could affect our company's reputation, someone muttered. As the alcohol started affecting Michael, he became more talkative and heated. Ryan, you're always smiling and calm during sales, but I get it now. You're just covering up for your lack of confidence in sales talk, right? With just a high school dropout's brain, you can't really come up with any smart talk, can you? I stayed silent. I always felt something was lacking. You just nod along to whatever I say. Ah, I see my talk was too complex for you to follow. Sorry about that. Can't dumb it down to a dropout level, haha. I was playing the role of a foil to him, but I decided it was better not to stir up trouble and just let it slide. The men who initially chuckled at Michael's remarks gradually began to feel uneasy as his insults escalated. However, there was one person glaring sharply at Michael. It was Emily. I tried to signal to her with my eyes. I'm fine. Don't worry about me. But it was futile. Noticing Emily's gaze, Michael misinterpreted it, smirked, and turned to her. Emily, it must be hard for you working with someone with such a low education. It's tough, right? Having to work with someone so dumb, even for work? Emily's expression darkened. No. There are many people who excel regardless of their education, and I respect Ryan for his work, she said firmly. Michael scoffed. Come on, let's not be formal today. Hey, why don't you quit your current job and work for me? With my recommendation, it's possible, right? Our company could offer you double, no, 5 times your current salary. We are a top-tier company after all. How about it? It's a great offer, right? The other women were envious. So unfair. I want to work for Michael's company too. Well, I'd love that too. Working at a big company like Company A would be something to brag about. But Emily's attitude was distinctly different. Her tone was calm but firm, her eyebrows knitted tightly as she spoke decisively. I absolutely love my current company and take great pride in working here, so I'll have to decline your offer. Thank you. Michael, clearly displeased with her response, clicked his tongue. He scoffed and then slyly remarked, Pity. Well, women are just for decoration in the workplace anyway. If you change your mind, let me know. A beauty like you is always welcome. I couldn't ignore that insulting comment. Michael, please take back what you just said. Emily is a highly competent employee in our company. Not many can match her attention to clients' needs. This response infuriated Michael. What do you think you're doing? Talking back to me? A mere high school dropout. You should remember who's feeding you. He looked down on me, raising his voice. I was astounded by his words. Did he really understand his own position? What? I can cancel the contract with your company if you want. What did you say? You dare talk back to me, your client. If you upset me, I can easily crush your company. If you don't want that, then bow down and apologize for your insolence. I just listened silently to his tirade. Actually, I was too stunned to respond. The other participants seemed taken aback by his blatant arrogance, likely fueled by alcohol. Then, either joking or serious, he leaned forward and grabbed my head. Come on, apologize to me pitifully. Is he really going to make me apologize? Just then, it happened. Splash! Everyone, including me, gasped at the unexpected sight. Emily had thrown a glass of water on Michael. You've had too much to drink, Michael. Maybe you should cool down a bit. Her voice was icy, though her face was smiling. Michael was stunned, dripping with water, unable to comprehend what had just happened. As he realized, he began to tremble with rage. What did you do, foolish woman? Michael, more furious than ever, shouted, Your guy is a dull dropout, and your female employee is untrained. Your company is finished. I'm canceling our contract right here. I responded calmly, Understood. We will send you the details for the contract termination later. Caught off guard by my response, he snorted in a mocking manner. What are you talking about? Someone like you can't possibly have a say in a deal with a major company like ours. It seemed to him that I was just another salesperson without any real authority. As I was wondering how to explain, Emily intervened. Ryan is the next president of our company, so he certainly has the authority to make decisions. This revelation shocked Michael and the other participants, who found it hard to believe. What? A low-educated high school dropout like him becoming the next president? That's unbelievable. You need to come up with a better joke than that. This is no joke. I thought it was common knowledge among the presidents and executives of our contract partners. Let's go back a bit. The reason I joined this company was that my younger brother asked me to join his firm. Actually, the company I'm currently working at is an advertising firm founded by my brother. After graduating from college, my brother joined a small business venture, and then 3 years later, he established his own venture. His company grew rapidly in a short time, gaining some recognition in the industry. To further expand, he thought it was necessary to connect with major companies and approached me. You have connections with many top-tier companies like M and K, right? I want you to be the bridge between our company and these major firms. Besides my network, my brother valued my communication skills and wanted my help in improving the communication abilities of the employees, both internally and externally. His plan was to eventually entrust me with the company as the next president. Of course, I initially refused, thinking it was too much for me, but my brother was persistent. This company was actually founded with the desire to work together with you. I was able to go to college because you sacrificed so much for me. I really want to repay you. Moved by my brother's sincere feelings, I decided to join his company and give it my all. Since then, I've been leveraging my connections to bridge my brother's company with major corporations. Oh, Ryan, we're happy to do business with you. We feel secure dealing with you. I was delighted to hear this from many of our partners. Realizing my background, Michael looked a bit pale, but still hadn't grasped the situation. He glared at me fiercely and raised his voice. So what? If you lose a deal with a big company like ours, it's your loss, right? I inwardly smiled at his lack of understanding of his own position. Not really. It's more of a loss for you, isn't it? Recently, your president, Alex, mentioned that the deal we are working on is a major project crucial for your company's future. Shocked and clearly rattled by this, I continued. We were eager to help, but it's unfortunate. I'll report the suspension of our deal to my superiors. Indeed, Losing one contract would not greatly impact our company, especially since we had just secured a year-long continuous order with a major firm like F. For Michael's company, the stakes were much higher. Nevertheless, his own blunder would turn everything to nothing, making him bear a heavy responsibility. It can't be happening to me. Michael finally realized the gravity of the situation, but still couldn't accept his mistake, trembling with anger. And you, Emily, how dare you throw water on me? Do you think that's okay? That's a serious assault. I could sue your company. He turned to Emily, boasting as if he had won, but she remained resolute. Oh? Weren't you the one who tried to make Ryan apologize first? Everyone here saw that. Indeed, everyone nodded in agreement. And if you're thinking of suing, I won't hesitate to sue you for sexual harassment. The room buzzed in confusion. I was startled to hear this for the first time. Michael, now red-faced and shaking with rage, yelled, "It doesn't make sense. Where's the evidence? That's a baseless accusation." Ignoring his breathless fury, Emily calmly took out her smartphone. I have all the evidence right here. The voice recorder played Michael's voice, unmistakably making propositions for dates, insistent invitations to dinners, and, at worst, hints of overnight stays. Indisputable proof of sexual harassment was laid bare. At a loss for words, Michael finally conceded, shoulders slumped in defeat. To him, I shared my insights gained through experience. No matter the size of the company, I've found that the most successful businesses are led by sincere people. They remain humble in any situation. On the contrary, people like you, who boast and look down on others, are often insecure and small-minded. Michael's face twisted as if he had bitten into something bitter in response to my words. By then, the intoxication of the others had completely faded, and they were all intently listening to my story, nodding with understanding. Afterward, nobody paid any more attention to Michael's words. Instead, everyone gathered around me, eager to hear more about my experiences. When I noticed Michael had disappeared, I felt a strange sense of finality. On the way home, the slightly chilled breeze felt pleasant. Emily and I decided to walk for a while before getting a taxi. With a refreshed expression, she said, "Ah, that was quite liberating." But deep down, something was bothering me. I had to ask Emily why she hadn't confided in me about Michael's harassment. "Emily, why didn't you talk to me about Michael?" I felt a quiet shock and a sense of inadequacy at not having known anything, despite spending so much time together. "You could rely on me more, you know. Am I that unreliable?" I muttered, half-jokingly. After a moment of seeming confusion, she blushed and said shyly, "I didn't want to trouble you. And I thought, you being so kind would take me off the account to avoid discomfort for me. I didn't want to lose our time together, I guess." Her unexpected response made my heart skip a beat. "There's no trouble at all. Please, don't hesitate to talk to me," I said. "No, it's on me to become a supervisor who everyone can rely on." I added somewhat hastily to hide my embarrassment. Then, looking into my eyes with a playful smile, she said, "You know, Ryan, you've been a dependable boss to me since the first time we met." Typically composed, I couldn't help but blush at her words. The next day, I reported the incident with Michael to my brother, the president of our company. He understood immediately and seemed to be making calls to Company A. That evening, President Alex of Company A came in person, visibly upset, to apologize. As expected, they wanted to retract the suspension of our contract. Apparently, Michael had been a problem in their company for a while, with reports of sexual and verbal harassment. They had already been discussing his dismissal. Due to the recent uproar, he was suddenly transferred to a subcontracting company, essentially a demotion. President Alex, whom my brother and I respected for his character, requested one more chance, promising a sincere approach with a new representative. We decided to let bygones be bygones and continue the business relationship. 3 years later, I formally took over as president from my brother. Thanks to the team's efforts, our company continued to grow and prosper. Rumor had it that Michael couldn't adapt to his new workplace and resigned soon after. Apparently, his bad reputation was quite well known, and he received cold stares from those around him, making his work environment unbearable. His subsequent job search also didn't go well, and now he's reportedly working part-time at a convenience store. It seems that a sudden resignation from a major corporation led people to suspect he had caused some scandal in his previous job, resulting in difficulties getting hired elsewhere. Now, he's stuck working part-time, a shadow of his former self, occasionally getting scolded by the manager. As for me, Emily and I officially started dating after that night and eventually got married, becoming partners in both life and work. As a still new president, I always keep in mind the importance of sincerity, regardless of position or environment. Education is just one part of life experience and not a measure of a person. No matter how highly educated, no one follows a person lacking sincerity. What matters is the way a person is. I aim to continue learning without arrogance, boldly taking on challenges, and leading my team as such a leader. Emma, my ex-wife, was a fellow student. She insulted me and threw beer at me when she saw me at the reunion wearing my work clothes. I left the event because I could no longer stand her awful attitude, and as I did, a sleek, black, luxury car appeared in front of me, representing my prosperous life without her. Tom Harris is my name after we got divorced. I am an ordinary guy who was raised in an ordinary environment and has an unremarkable personality that you could find anywhere. I was raised in a typical family and have led a typical life. I made a good number of friends during my time in school, and I didn't have any really exciting experiences. The maxim that I, a regular guy, constantly remember is from my high school teacher, Mr. Johnson. Live with perseverance, and you can overcome any difficulty. This saying has always been there for me, encouraging me no matter what. Fortunately, I haven't yet been in a circumstance when I had to frantically rely on these words, but I always remember them. I was a boring student, but I had a secret admiration for my classmate Emma. I found her ever-changing expressions, her careful listening style, and her occasionally feminine side profile to be really alluring. I naively believed that our accidental meeting at the same university was fate. Even though I was such a quiet student, I've always secretly admired Emma. On the other hand, I was so unremarkable in the crowd that several of my peers didn't even recognize me. However, Emma would occasionally talk to me about our high school years, and those little exchanges brought me much joy. I was happy about such little things, and it was enough to keep me happy. I was a really humble man. Still, when I had my college degree, I was curious about my position. It was best to give up and move on since it had been a long-standing, unfulfilled love since high school. This was the opportunity. So, determined not to be rejected, I told Emma the truth. Her startling response, yes, made me question whether I was dreaming. I had genuinely enjoyed my days with Emma, whom I had always admired. I've always made an effort to give Emma anything she wants. I put a lot of effort into my job since I loved seeing her delighted grin after receiving my gifts. As our relationship developed amicably, I made Emma's dream of becoming a housewife come true by popping the question in my 3rd year as a working professional. I worked harder than ever, but taking care of 2 people's expenses was difficult. I worked so hard in my 3rd year because I wanted Emma to be happy. Fortunately, my hard work paid off, and I was able to advance in my career in a way that surprised both myself and my elders. I worked for a big company, so my pay was already above average, but after I got promoted, I began making an unbelievable amount of money. But while my salary rose, Emma's extravagant spending, all in the name of bettering herself, also increased. Even while it wasn't yet endangering our means of subsistence, buy new outfits and seasonal brand bags for each supper with friends added up. Whenever I felt like talking, I would hesitate to say anything because I knew she would be happy and would only have to put in more effort. I regret that my approach could have led her to become irresponsible in retrospect. I was talking to my coworker Susan while enjoying a coffee one day during our lunch break. Suddenly, on each employee's PC, there appeared an internal email. Susan was the first to view the email and mumbled, "No way," in shock. I saw some startling news on her screen. An enormous downsizing was announced as a result of subpar company performance. The names of individuals who will be let go were coldly published in the email. My name and Susan's came on the list of people being laid off, and I glanced through it nervously. I felt as though everything had darkened around me, and I almost dropped my coffee. All of the staff members on the list, including Susan and me, were independent contributors to the business in their early 30s. A few of us went up to President Smith to voice our objections. "We targeted you because you're young and have ample opportunity for re-employment," President Smith countered. "I apologize, but I ask that you respect our circumstances." He apologized profusely and in a kind manner, but his remarks were emotionless. He appeared to be merely apologizing to get out of the sticky position. To me, it felt like that only. We came to the conclusion that there was no point in disputing with President Smith and had to accept the layoff. "What will you do now?" Silently, Susan inquired. "I haven't made a decision yet. I should discuss it with my spouse." "Susan, how about you? What plans do you have?" "Well, packing up my personal items around my desk," I replied. She said, "I think I might go back to my parents' place." "I take it that your dad owns his own business. Thus, you'll have a backup plan for the time being." Using her best happy voice, she exclaimed, "Yay, that's right." I had no idea at the moment that Susan was about to cry in her voice. I wondered what I should do next as I drove home. I first considered how to tell Emma the news. I knew she would understand if I couldn't immediately find another job because I had worked so hard. Emma would undoubtedly encourage me. I could use my severance income to help with my job search. Feeling a little more positive, I accelerated my speed home, reassured by these thoughts. Emma exclaimed, "What?" as soon as I muttered about getting laid off when I arrived home. Not at all. I recognized her reaction as she turned pale. It's difficult, so feeling nervous was only normal. "But let's work through this together," I said. But before I could say anything further, Emma gave me a direct look and suggested that we get divorced. "What?" I was taken aback. "We ought to file for divorce if you are unable to get employment. A jobless man who is unable of spending money on me is useless." "I don't require you," spit out Emma. Everything in front of my eyes turned dark. Emma barraged me with insults, and I was at a loss for words to respond. "When I got married, I thought that because of your big company employment, we would be financially independent." My computations were incorrect. I could hear these words. Ultimately, Emma had never loved me at first. She knew I'd looked up to her since high school and figured that since I worked for a big firm, things will get stable financially someday. She believed that one day she would be able to achieve everything she wanted. I began to wonder if this was the intended meaning of left cooling. Even after a century, it seemed strange at the time, almost as if it were occurring to someone else. As I watched her lose her temper in front of me, I started to wonder if this was really the woman I had married. Feeling a mounting disgust as Emma went on to enumerate her complaints, I answered, "All right, let's get divorced." I was unable to move past my feelings or begin looking for a job until the divorce was finalized. After getting divorced, I started looking for a job seriously. Considering my smooth career up to that point, I knew it was a challenging employment market, but I hadn't anticipated it would be this difficult to get work. I'd initially searched for positions where I could apply the abilities I had acquired in my prior position, but nothing was available. Even with considerable savings, The need to find a new career quickly became pressing. I started looking for jobs in industries where I had no experience after realizing I couldn't be picky after my applications were turned down time and time again. Despite my belief that my physical strength was ordinary, I still avoided occupations requiring heavy labor because I didn't belong to an athletic club. I did, however, wind up doing some labor-intensive role interviews. Mr. Williams, the head of one company, was incredibly courteous. He paid close attention to my account of being let go. Although it will be difficult at first, we will be there for you. He said, "Why don't you collaborate with us?" I was prepared to accept any job offer at that point. Since it was a construction company, there was some physical labor involved in the job, but mostly office work. No one made fun of me for being weaker or slower than others, and I appreciated everyone's encouragement. Although I wasn't returning the favor, I improved the company by making the most of my skills. That's how I earned Mr. Williams and my coworkers' trust. I feel quite lucky to have been hired by this organization. I was starting to feel at ease in my work when I got a notice about a high school reunion. An unpleasant memory came back. My former teacher, Mr. Johnson, was someone I wanted to see again, even though I didn't want to see Emma's face. I gave it some thinking and went to the reunion. As I was about to leave, I received an unforeseen call from work. I threw on my work clothes without thinking and made my way to the working site. It took longer than anticipated, and the reunion was well underway when I got there. I chose to wear my work clothes even though I had prepared a change of clothes. I recognized several people and went to hunt for Mr. Johnson, only to find out he was in the hospital. There's no reason to stay here if Mr. Johnson isn't here. Perhaps I should head out early, I considered. I heard a voice I didn't want to hear just then. "Sing. Tom, is that right?" It was Emma, who had turned into an even more flamboyant, or vulgar, person than she had been before. Standing next to her was Ethan, who was supposedly a fast-tracked elite. I could tell Emma was eyeing Ethan flirtatiously, and I knew he was her next target. It didn't appear to bother Ethan. Emma was decked out in designer labels, and Ethan, in his dapper suit, looked down at me, laughing heartily as he made fun of my outfit and work clothes. "What is the issue? Is that all you have to wear to a reunion this grand?" As one might anticipate from a man who was fired due to his incompetence, laughed Emma crudely. "Have some pride, Tom, please. Walking around like this, even if you're laid off, is just embarrassing to think we went to school with someone at rock bottom," smirking Ethan continued. Ethan and Emma were nodding along just like I had imagined. Emma spilled the beer she was carrying over my head all of a sudden. "You loser, that outfit fits you perfectly," she yelled. "Why don't you simply walk away?" As the two of them cast me in a demeaning light, Ethan exclaimed, "You're ruining the vibe here." They didn't even appear to be aware of how their actions surprised everyone in the vicinity. I think they thought my work clothes were too casual for me. I made the decision to go since I felt bad for them and didn't want to ruin the mood for anyone else. "I understand," I said. "I'll go," and made my way out the door. My surrounding students interrupted, saying, "You're not required to go. Considering how far you've come, you ought to remain longer. And put those two out of your mind." Standing in the middle of the arena, their arms crossed and smug smiles directed at me, I didn't want to spend any more time with those two. "I'll catch up with you guys later," I said to my companions as I opened the door to go. At that moment, a sophisticated black automobile arrived. There was a lot of commotion inside the restaurant as a fancy automobile pulled up outside. Naturally, eager to acquire the greatest angle of the car, Emma and Ethan navigated their way through the crowd. Emma was still calculating and wanted to know who owned the car. The driver then exited the vehicle and stated, "President Harris, your car is ready," in a kind manner. I could feel the air behind me getting cold. "President Harris," Emma's speech was hardly audible. I gave them both a quick glance before getting into the car, where Susan was already waiting. Making sure no one else could hear, I murmured, "Looks like Ethan's company is in trouble," into Emma's ear. "You should probably start looking for your new partner right away." Then I snuck past Emma, who was standing still, and entered the vehicle. "Hello. How was your day?" As I got into the car, Susan smiled to meet me. I said, sighing and letting my shoulders drop. "It was okay," I said. By pure happenstance, my new work ended up being at Susan's family's business, meaning that the thoughtful Mr. Williams who had been so encouraging was, in fact, Susan's father. I was promoted to vice president because he recognized my sincerity and hard work. I had told Susan that I was in love with her. Our shared background gave us ease and comfort, and before I knew it, we were a couple. More than anyone else, Mr. Williams was pleased for us. I was even making plans for Susan's wedding. Before long, I had come across Ethan's business through my professional interactions. Despite being a large corporation, there were ongoing suspicions of financial problems, and it appeared that an investigation would soon be launched. A company with that kind of reputation wasn't a good business partner, factual or not. It was evident that Ethan was entering uncharted territory. I walked into the room and saw Miss Smith sitting there, appearing a little anxious. "Please take a seat." As I took a seat across from her, I noticed that she didn't appear eager to talk. She probably finds it difficult to say no because she is too kind to let someone go easy. "I apologize for hiding my past from you. If anyone found out about my mafia past, I knew I would have to step down." "Oh, I see." "Yes, I wanted to stick by your side and support someone who has such a great heart for other people. I am very grateful for what you have done." "Hold on for a moment. I take it you called me in to fire me." No. You should also remain with me, I hope. But not both a driver and a CEO. Would you be interested in dating me with a view to marriage?" Miss Smith asked me, her voice quivering a little. Her face flushed red. "I would be honored if that were okay with you." I smiled in response, surprised by this unanticipated turn of events.